Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The media keeps up its relentless beating of the president-elect. You know, they are just unbelievable. And the big thing now is, well, the other guy's got a majority of the votes. But the truth is, Mr. Trump did not campaign in California. He did not campaign in New York. He only campaigned in battleground states, which were important in the general election. Consequently, the huge margins that came in didn't really reflect any kind of a contest. But nevertheless, it looks like that concept that was set up for us with an electoral college by our founders was pretty smart.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing about all of these protests is the man hasn't done anything yet.
Well, that's right, but they just beat him up. I mean, he goes to eat dinner at 21, which is a nice restaurant, I might add. We had a number of people who apparently watched the 700 Club who were working in 21, and they were very friendly.
Well, I hope that his skin is tough enough to kind of take all of this.
Of course, are you kidding?
As a grain of
salt. He's tough as nails. But we've got somebody that had a vision. He was in Israel, had a vision of what God told him about Trump. We'll tell you that on this program. But he's now having his first face-to-face meeting with a major foreign leader. As president-elect, he's going to talk with the primary of Japan, Shinzo Abe, and it's happening as the Trump team is still reviewing a wide list of names for his cabinet.
And on Capitol Hill, Democrats have put together a new leadership team in the Senate that includes some very liberal members. Dale Hurd has the story.
It's only been a little more than a week since Donald Trump was elected, and the Japanese prime minister has already flown to New York to meet with the president-elect. Trump vowed during the campaign that allies like Japan should pay more for defense, and Shinzo Abe may be looking for assurances that Trump will remain committed to the U.S.-Japan security alliance. Meanwhile, the U.S. media, which was wrong about who would win the election, continues to pound the message that the Trump transition is in disarray.
I think there is some confusion going on about a chain of command coming out of New York.
Even though previous White House transition teams have taken longer to name cabinet appointments.
The beginning of any transition like this has turmoil because it's just the nature of the process. And I think that Trump is very decisive.
And there are new names to add to the list of possible Trump administration cabinet members. Trump will meet today with South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, who is reported to be under consideration for Secretary of State. And the Wall Street Journal reports former Texas Governor Rick Perry is under consideration for Energy Secretary. On Capitol Hill, Senate Republicans re-elected Mitch McConnell as Majority Leader, while Democrats, as expected, chose New York Senator Chuck Schumer as their new leader. Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts and Bernie Sanders of Vermont, both heroes of the far left, also got leadership positions. The new Trump administration is already being challenged by several cities and college campuses over illegal immigration and Trump's campaign promise to deport illegals. Democratic mayors like Chicago's Rahm Emanuel have vowed to defy the federal government and remain sanctuary cities. College students across the country are also demanding that their schools be converted into sanctuary campuses.
I am undocumented, and I am not afraid. It is very important for me to have a sanctuary campus.
But without question, one of Trump's top priorities as soon as he takes office will be to get rid of some of the laws and regulations from the Obama administration. That includes the Clean Power Plan, a measure to fight global warming, which critics say hurts parts of the energy industry. The Clean Water Rule, which puts even small bodies of water like wetlands and ponds under control of the federal government. Rules regulating fracking for oil. And the Dodd-Frank regulations of the financial industry, which critics say has slowed down the economy. It's all part of a big agenda awaiting President Trump and his administration when he takes office in January. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Thanks, Dale. It's interesting. You know, Nikki Haley is a wonderful person. I can't see her as Secretary of State, but in terms of heading up the HHS, it would be tremendous. She would do a great job, as would Bobby Jindal. Both of them have Hindu roots in their background, and both are dedicated born-again Christians. So they'd be tremendous picks. But what people have to realize is that heading a major government agency that has hundreds of thousands of employees and billions of dollars of procurement involved. This takes somebody who has business experience. And you just don't put some nice senator in there or whatever and think they're going to know what to do. They don't, because they've never been faced with that kind of challenges. But I think that we'll see a good team coming out. But some of these kids, you know, I was told that they're giving them now milk and cookies in colleges to quiet them down, and having little toys, little things so they can have little fluffy toys to play. I mean, these are college students, for heaven's sake.
Yeah. Well, you know, so many times we've seen people interviewed on the street, not just by our reporters, but by others, and they're unknowledgeable about who the people in positions of authority are. Sometimes I think when you're at that stage of life, you're just looking for a cause, you know.
Well, I mean, a cause by all means, but this is absolutely absurd. They don't know what they're doing. And the idea is that this country would be wide open to the invasion of anybody who wants to come here. And once they're here, the working class of this nation have to supply them with food and clothes and shelter and education and all the other perks that go along with citizenship. This is just insane. No country would have to do that, but that's what these young kids want. And the idea of sanctuary, can you imagine how it was in the civil rights era when certain governors stood up against the federal government and said, we are going to maintain our Jim Crow laws, we're going to maintain racial disparity, and the federal government went in and moved against them and to stop that. And I think sooner or later, there's got to be a coming to reckoning with these guys who act like they're such big heroes. But we can't have little enclaves of illegal immigrants in various cities across the country. The immigration policy is in the federal government. We want as much as we can to have local control of our politics. It's much better. And to decentralize is a wonderful thing. But in terms of immigration, we have to have a unified policy. Just that simple. And these guys, de Blasio and the mayor of Rahm Emanuel in Chicago and others, I mean, they're just grandstanding. It's ridiculous. But sooner or later, they're going to have a reckoning. But what Trump says right now, I want to take people who are criminals, people who break the law, and I want to send them out of this country. What's such a big deal about that? Why is that so cruel? Well, stocks have climbed sharply since Trump was elected. But another investment has also been rising. John Jessup has that.
That's right, Pat. The dollar hit its highest level in nearly 14 years Wednesday against a basket of foreign currencies. The dollar has been climbing since Trump's election, partly because of the belief interest rates could rise under his administration, as some analysts expect his policies will help the economy grow. Although some believe the dollar rally will slow down for a while, many traders believe it will keep getting stronger over time. Well, Trump's election stunned most of the political world, but some prayer leaders in the church believe they saw it coming. As Chris Mitchell reports, some have compared him to Cyrus, an important secular king who played a key role with Israel in Old Testament times.
Author and speaker Lance Wallnau met Donald Trump several months before the election.
I had the strangest sense that I was dealing with something different. I was dealing with someone who wasn't an evangelical Christian, who was anointed for an assignment. And I didn't know where to go with that. So I went home, and all that I heard the Lord say is, Donald Trump is a wrecking ball to the spirit of political correctness.
Wallnau compared Trump to the Persian king Cyrus cited in the Bible. Cyrus decreed the Jews living in captivity in ancient Babylon could return to Israel and rebuild their temple.
He came in, this king, as a secular ruler and decreed for the building of the house of the Lord. He literally made it possible for the Jews to end the captivity. And I'm reading on, it says, he will break through the two-leaved gates of Babylon. I'm going, well, there's your wrecking ball.
He says history is filled with secular rulers, appointed by God for unique seasons.
He anoints them for their assignment. And then it's obvious if you think about it. You're stuck with the reality of history. Does God put people into the crucible of history who are not your favorite Christian candidate, but who in the end was perfectly anointed for the task?
Wallnau also believes Trump's idea of a wall to protect America has a biblical parallel.
I feel the whole emphasis on building a wall really is building again in America the capacity for self-government. We have no government over our sexual propensities. We have no government over our fiscal appetite. We have no government over our relations between police and minorities. We're a nation that is radically losing its ability for self-government, and with that comes the privileges of self-government. So the wall that Trump's talking about is a metaphor like Nehemiah. We have to rebuild moral self-control and self-restraint.
He thinks the dangerous world of today needs a strong leader, and he believes Trump can guide America through international storms. And he points out Trump has forged a unique relationship with Christians.
Trump, for some strange reason, loves evangelicals. I mean, it's peculiar. He has more confidence in what Christians can do in America than Christians have in what Christians can do. And he sees them as a missing piece.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Thanks, Chris. Well, the world's earliest known complete stone inscription of the Ten Commandments has been sold at an auction in Beverly Hills for $850,000. The 2-foot square marble slab weighs about 115 pounds, and it lists 9 of the 10 commonly known commandments. The tablet probably adorned the entrance of a synagogue destroyed by the Romans between 400 and 600 AD, or by the Crusaders in the 11th century. It's been called a national treasure in Israel, and the winning bidder does not wish to be identified. The only condition for the sale is that it will be displayed in a public museum. And Pat, I read that the bidding started at a cool $250,000.
Well, I would think its prices would be worth a whole lot more than that, frankly, but I'm glad it's going to be, I presume, kept in Israel in a museum. Mm-hmm. But this is, you know, God moved down, came to Sinai, and met with the people, and he said, here's what I want you to do. And first of all, don't have any other gods before me. I'm going to look after you. I'm the Lord your God that brought you out of captivity. And when you read the Ten Commandments, and I wrote a book on the Ten Commandments, they are really to preserve the peace that people have, peace in their lives, peace in their possessions, peace in their marriages, and peace in their identity. I mean, it's what, you read it, that's what it's about. It's to give us peace of mind and peace of heart to live in a peaceful society. And that's what God wants. But when you begin to say, the one thing you don't do is mess with my name, because the name of God is he who causes everything to be. And he said that is his identity, and that you don't take for vanity. So it's a great document, and it's priceless. There's no amount of money you could place on the truth that's in that document.
Yeah, I too was surprised that the price was so low.
Well, I think it is too, Terry. It really does. I mean, they've got some ugly piece of art that some guy slapped, some junk on, and they bring that, $20, $30 million.
Millions, yes, exactly.
Well, actually, one was $500,000, but Pollock, they had 2 of his paintings that brought for $500 million.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just terrible. I mean, this is the Ten Commandments.
Exactly.
Okay.